What's up, boys? We're doing another one of the answering questions because we got a reasonable amount on the last one. Max is with me again.
Howdy.
I intend to let him talk more this time because I got two people messaging me saying to stop cutting him off. He would have rambled all day about angst lifting. I know what I'm doing.
It's my area of expertise.
But if you have other questions for us, put them in the comments of this video and we'll get to them, or I'll get to them, depending on whether we do the next one together or not. But Max has the questions on his phone this time.
Sam, lifetime squat goal?
A lot. Max, lifetime squat goal?
As close to 1 million as I can get.
We talked about earlier when we saw this question. I don't entirely understand the point of having a lifetime goal because there's no way you know your genetics well enough to pick out a number. And like, what happens when you get there? Are you just gonna stop? You know? So, as much as possible.
I noticed you two pull mixed. Do you have any fear of ever tearing a bicep doing mixed? Is the first half. Also, does Max not like doing hook grip? I think injuries are bound to happen. I've tried hook grip before and I just don't lock out reps was the conclusion we came to. I don't know why. I don't know really anyone else who ran into this problem pulling hook grip. My hands are, I would say, big enough to pull hook grip. I didn't really have any like huge issues holding on to things. I really just stopped locking out my deadlifts and I don't know why. And it felt like too much of a commitment to try and change a movement pattern over something that was not a huge advantage in terms of like strength-wise. And if I'm scared to tear a bicep, not really. I think injuries are just inevitable in terms of like the sport of powerlifting. You just have to do whatever you can to prevent them where you can, like not bending your arm while deadlifting.
Yeah, and as long as you keep sufficient mobility that you can externally rotate from the shoulder rather than having to externally rotate from the elbow, you should be pretty safe. So it's like a lot of the time when their bicep goes, it's because they were doing a reasonable amount of their prep in straps, and gradually that mixed grip mobility went away, but they're forcing themselves into that position and they can't get all of the external rotation from the shoulder, so it's happening at the elbow, loads into the bicep tendon. Obviously that's a level of load that is bad. That being said, I've never seen someone tear their bicep sumo, which is why I have zero worry pulling sumo mixed grip, which I do, and then I pull straps when I pull conventional because it's for strongman anyway, so I get straps, and I feel like that's where the risk would be in my opinion, whereas sumo, I haven't even seen a video of it, so I don't worry about it when I'm doing sumo.
Alrighty. Kelson, question, how long till max out totals you?
A week.
I would, if I had to take a practical guess, 1.5 years.
No.
High reps on compound lifts for multiple sets, enough to count as cardio for cardiovascular health?
No.
I have a different statement. If you're actually doing like active things in your day, then sure, but I don't think that would act as enough stimulus. Like when I was working a manual labor job, I was doing no outside of the gym cardio. I wasn't doing really any cardio, and now that I'm doing have a lot more of a sedentary job, I need to do like 15 minutes of steady state a couple times a week.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get enough cardiovascular adaptations to be in good shape just from training moderate rep ranges. If, like Max said, if you have a high NEAT, so like you're a very active person, that probably will put you in a good enough aerobic like condition to power lift to the best of your ability. But if you're not super active, then deliberately doing some conditioning would probably be what you need to get to that like optimal level or minimum level, I guess.
I have two questions. Why did you first start lifting?
To get bigger.
I did not have a choice. I was playing video games constantly, and Sam was like, "Hey, fat loser, come to the gym." And my parents were like, "Yeah, you need a hobby."
This isn't what happened.
This is exactly what happened.
He was extremely nice about it.
Oh, he was nice about it. I just didn't have a choice. What motivated you to make such a big commitment?
It didn't feel like a big commitment when I started. It seemed like fun, you know? Like, it wasn't that I was like, I'm committing my life to this. I was like, I want big biceps, so I'm going to go to the YMCA and do curls. You know, it didn't seem like a big commitment at the time. And then, you know, I kind of eased into it. Like, I was was like, oh, I want to be stronger than everybody at the gym, and that wasn't a big commitment. It was just a goal. I don't think I've ever felt like I had to make a big commitment. It's just my goals grew with time.
Lifting is the only thing I've ever been good at, so I was kind of like 100%.
He's good at throwing a rock.
Pretty good at that also, but that's because I'm good at lifting. What kinds of things keep you motivated, or are you able to deal with doubts or stress about not making enough progress? Thank you, great.
You gonna answer it?
Um,
I'm thinking.
I don't really have a huge issue with motivation. I think because most of the times I like have issues progressing, like block to block. I like know the factors as to like why that is. I think that's something that's really appealing for lifting to me. Is that it seems like very, very within my control. Of like if I could just look at like the common factors of like outside of the gym, inside the gym activity, I can just like really pinpoint why I'm not progressing, and that's kind of the fun of it. Is like trying to like optimize block to block how to do things. So I just like lifting, which is why I do it. So I don't really struggle with motivation super often.
Yeah, that would be this. As far as the motivation side of things, it'd be the same. It's what I enjoy. It takes no motivation. You know, it's not really. At no point do I ask myself, "Am I going to the gym today?" I'm just getting in my car. And then as far as like frustration with stagnation, well, I don't worry about whether I'm making fast enough progress because it's just objective. I have a goal and I compare my rate to like block to block, so I know if I'm below it, I don't really get discouraged, and I don't understand why people get discouraged. It seems really narcissistic to me to like if someone didn't make the progress that I wanted, I say, did you do everything perfectly? And they say yes, they're full of shit, right? So it's like, oh, I didn't like my result, and I didn't do everything perfectly because you definitely didn't. Just fix it. You know, I'm a bit of a robot in that way. Like I'm not the most empathetic person in the world, but like I don't understand why people get so demotivated. It's like, did you do it perfectly? The answer is no. Okay, we'll do better. And also, even if you did have like a really high level of compliance, you're like, no, I swear I nailed all of my lifestyle things. You're still probably lying to yourself, but let's say you did. Okay, then your approach was wrong. Have you tried everything? No. I don't understand why you'd be frustrated. You just tried the wrong thing, try something else. It's like, I program for myself, so there's a lot more variability than for like Max's training. And if I like work hard as hell and I don't progress, I'm like, guess wrong that time. I'll try something else. And I can always think of something I haven't tried. There's so many variables like frequency, loading, exercise selection, technique within the single lifts. It's like there's so many things that you can always change. I don't understand it personally.
Would you ever lean down and compete in bodybuilding in the far future? Is it something that you have ever hoped to do, dream of doing? Why or why wouldn't you? I have zero interest in doing bodybuilding, to be honest.
As you can tell from looking at him.
God damn it. I have the optimal physique for a powerlifter, so I don't know why I would ever change that.
No, I do not want to lose strength, nor do I want to wear a bikini in front of a bunch of dudes. I'm a fan of bodybuilding, but I'm more so a fan of like how hard it is, and like the difficult. I respect that it's way more difficult than powerlifting because you have to be on it 24/7 in the prep. So I'm a fan of the people that do it. You know, I follow a lot of bodybuilders, and I think that their adherence to their diets and their training is better than the average or better than elite powerlifters more often than not. So I really look up to them in that regard. But the competing side doesn't do anything for me. And like a lot of the guys I follow on the podcast I listen to will say the same thing. They're like, no, competing isn't even why I do this. It's just a way to compare the hard work to someone else's hard work. But I don't really like the whole getting tanned and oiled and standing in front of a bunch of dudes. Not on my to-do list, personally.
No hate if you do, though.
Yeah, no, respect if you do. Not my thing.
Do you believe once Joyous hits 800 on bench and comp, do you think there will be a rise in much higher bench numbers and even people down the line will outbench 800 or match it?
Eventually, yes, absolutely. You know, the level of sport rises with time. You know, it's always been observed. Even if there's a long-standing record, eventually it's broken. That being said, I think it's going to be a fucking while. He is so far ahead of everybody else and everybody in history that it's ridiculous to see a 10% improvement. That's notably more than Eddie Hall improved the deadlift record by. And Eddie's deadlift record is a very unique situation. People don't understand that strongmen were not testing the deadlift from the floor, from like a standard height, regularly in competition until I'm going to say about 7 years ago. They began the World Deadlift Championship. Prior to that, most of the deadlifts were done on odd implements from odd heights, so there was no standardized deadlift record. It was just the most that had been picked up. And so like the Hummer tire deadlift of the Arnold counted. Big Laws is a really good video on the history of the deadlift record, but he talks about this standardized deadlift on kilos on a regular bar being some sort of like world record has only come about in the last 7 years. The bench press has been being contested for 50 plus years to the same specs. So it's much more developed, and Eddie beat a newly developing lift by about 7%, right? Julius is about to improve a heavily contested for a long time lift by 10. Absolutely insane. I think it'll be a while.
I would tend to agree. The idea that somebody else might do it anytime soon just feels like not true. But who knows? Next quote.
What's his name? Johnny Harris, power builder. If that guy got fat, he'd probably like fat as shit. He'd be close.
If Max is gonna keep that weird stash, he might as well go back to the mullet. Same thoughts. It's not even a question. But
Well, he's going back to the mullet either way.
I don't know why you're so concerned. Why I look how I look. Also, buy my OnlyFans. Thoughts on 5x5?
It's a good rep scheme.
Do accessories if you're doing it. Solid
Oh,
beginner
the program? If you're doing the program, probably do a little bit of bodybuilding work. You're going to look like a centaur.
Thoughts on belt during the bench press?
Not at all necessary. Can sometimes be masking an issue. Really, you should be taking in a full breath of air and flexing your glutes to protect your lumbar spine. By flexing your glutes and by taking in a reasonable amount of air, if you force yourself into an arch, it's more likely that arch is going to come from your thoracic like it's supposed to. So sometimes if you're like, oh, my low back hurts, you're probably not doing one of those and you're using a belt to mask it. That being said, especially if you're forcing yourself into an arch the day after deadlifting, I wear it.
Yeah, I don't wear my belt during bench. I'll occasionally throw it on if it feels like my lower back is like tweaky, but I don't really have any gain from it. I don't think there's a problem if you do. I missed a question in the middle of somebody's question, which was, how do you deal with body image?
Not to be rude, I just don't care. Me and Max are coming from opposite ends of the spectrum because Max used to be more fat somehow. So this is better, right? So and I used to look good at one point. I used to be lean as fuck, and I gave that up and got fat so I could bench more. And that was never really a question for me. I was like, bench is cool. Having abs has never done anything for me. So I don't know. I think that if you view your body as based on its performance, so it's a means to an end, it's pretty easy to manage. You're like, oh, well, I'm fat. Instead of feeling bad about yourself, you ask yourself, okay, is it for a reason? If not, yeah, maybe you feel bad about yourself and fix it. But if there's a reason for it, be confident in your reason,
I grew up at 5'0" with a beer gut.
This is actually a fact.
Right now, I'm killing it. Opposed to that, I'm doing great because now I'm 6 feet with a beer gut. Yeah, I don't have a ton of problems with body image. Have you or would you do a max strict curl? Do you feel like the strict curl becoming more popular, or how do you feel about the strict curl becoming more popular?
I would not do a max strict curl because I don't like curls. They're no fun.
I am really, really weak at curls.
Me too.
because I missed the whole bro phase of lifting and just went right into like SBD. So I never really did curls. Like my delt flies are as strong as my curls. And how do I feel about the strict curl becoming more popular? Cool, yeah, like
I don't know. It's just a fad like anything else.
I think it'll pass.
I think it's not the greatest lift to compare strength because it is so difficult to standardize form. And I know the rules within strict curl competition is like your back is against a wall to prevent like hip hinging, but you're not comparing bicep strength. You're still going into shoulder flexion, which is using your delt also. I don't know. I just don't think if we're comparing strength between people, that's the best comparison, but I don't really have any problem with it. It's not hurting anybody.
Ever play football?
Our high school didn't have a football team. We played other sports, kind of.
I was gonna say I did not.
You threw the rock.
I threw the rock for 1 year.
He also played lacrosse for like 1 or 2 years.
Yeah. AKA bad football. And that's all.
Rich preppy football.
Oh God. Thank you guys for all the nice comments. Also.
Yeah. Leave more.
Leave more nice comments. Maybe questions, but mainly just nice comments.
Gas us up.
Tell me how cool my mustache looks.
Yeah.